Canada. You see who that is, right? All Canadians. A portrait of the Queen hangs on the Sovereign's wall at the entrance of the Department of Foreign Affairs building in Ottawa. Shortly after the designation of the Sovereign's wall at the Department of Foreign Affairs, all Canadian missions overseas were sent a directive asking them to assure that they had photos of the Queen, the Governor-General, Prime Minister, and other relevant ministers displayed in their public reception areas. The Monarchist League of Canada has saluted the renewed signs of respect for the Sovereign. Queen to get royal pay freeze. Even the royal family is feeling the financial pinch these days, with the Queen's income to be frozen until 2015 according to reports. From 60 million of Canadian taxpayers' money in 2008, the Queen has effectively fallen each year. By 2013, that will be down to 47 million Canadian. Back in 1991-92 until 2002, the Queen got $122 million in Canadian money, taxpayers' funding to cover household expenses. Monarchy of Canada. The Monarchy of Canada is the core of both Canada's federalism and its Westminster-style parliamentary democracy, being the foundation of the executive and legislative and judicial branches of Canadian government and each provincial government. So we see that the monarchy, it says, is the core of all democracy here in Canada. So meaning that the monarchy, the structure of the monarchy is what democracy is built upon. So the monarchy of Canada is the foundation of all executive, legislative, and judicial powers that are in operation in Canada or the provinces. So the monarchy is the foundation, the beginning point, the starting point of the democracy that has been built here in Canada. The Queen is the only member of the royal family with any constitutional role. In each of Canada's provinces, the monarch is represented by a lieutenant governor. So the lieutenant governor is a representative of the Queen. Personification of the Canadian state. As the living embodiment of the crown, the sovereign is regarded as the personification of the Canadian state. So it says the living, notice that word, the living embodiment of the sovereign, the Queen, is regarded as the personification of the Canadian state. So, the living embodiment of the Queen is the personification of the Canadian state. Now watch what they have to say about this sovereign, this Queen here, and watch how applicable it is to what they've done to you in law. As the living embodiment of the crown, the sovereign is regarded as the personification of the Canadian state. The body of the reigning sovereign, thus holding two distinct personas in constant coexistence, that of a natural-born human being and that of the state as accorded to him or her through law. So, even in private, the monarch is always on duty. So, the reigning sovereign is holding two distinct personas, two personalities, in constant coexistence. That of a natural-born human being, and that of the state, as accorded to him or her. So the body or construction of the reigning sovereign has two distinct personas. And these two distinct personalities, they're in constant coexistence with one another under the law. Now, the two distinct personas that this sovereign possesses is, one, a natural-born human, and two, the state, a legal person, a legal personality. And these personas have been accorded to, given to, or recognized by law. Their law, but nevertheless. So, the sovereign has two distinct personas. One is a natural-born human being, just like we are, anyone watching this video, and the second is that of the state, and the state being a legal personality, just like we have, like what they've done to us. They've attached a legal person to us. So it's not surprising that we see it in operation in the head of this government, through the monarchy, exactly what they've done to us. It states that the monarchy is always on duty. By stating that, it's saying that the monarchy is in a perpetual existence, as is our legal persons. When you get into the Bank Act and you check out the constructive registered holder that is operating upon our patrimony, it states that when our legal persons die, that the constructive registered holder, the fiduciary, will continue to collect the entitlements and the interest and the dividends upon these accounts. That is because our legal persons that they have created, they've created them in a perpetual existence, which means that they forever live until they decide that it's enough, which is through bankruptcy or other means of law. But anyways, they live in a perpetual means of existence, and so does the monarchy. As such, the King or Queen of Canada is the employer of all government staff, including the viceroys, judges, members of the Canadian Forces, police officers, and parliamentarians. The Queen, who is the reigning sovereign, Queen Elizabeth, they call her the Majesty, Queen of Canada. Well, she is the employer of all government staff. Now, this is including judges and police officers, along with all other government officials. So officially, the Queen is the employer of all government staff. However, as the monarch is a constitutional one, he or she does not rule alone, as in an absolute monarchy. Instead, the crown is regarded as a corporation, with the monarch being the center of the construct in which the power of the whole is shared by multiple institutions of government, the executive, legislative, and judicial parts of the government. Canada's constitution is based on a Westminster parliamentary model, where the role of the Queen is both legal and practical, but not political. The sovereign is vested with all the powers of the state, collectively known as the royal prerogative. This power, it stems from the people. So the Queen's power, it's a legal power, okay? And it's been vested or given to her with all power of the state. So the Queen has all the powers of the state, and they call that a royal prerogative. That's the title that they give it, her power that she has. And the Queen claims that this power has been given to her here in Canada by the people, by the 33 million people that live here in Canada. Well, go check out my democracy video to see just how many people have actually voted the Queen to have power here in Canada. It's not 33 million people. But nevertheless, that's what she claims. She claims that she's invested with all this power because we the people have given her this power to rule over us. And therefore we are her slaves and we are her subjects in this corporation called Canada. The government of Canada, formally or legally termed Her Majesty's government. So you see, the government of Canada is indeed Her Majesty's government, is defined by the Constitution as the Queen acting on the advice of her Privacy Council. So that's when you say the government of Canada, this is what you mean legally. When you say the government of Canada, it means that Her Majesty's government, that is acting on the advice of her Privacy Council. Excuse me, what does this have to do with people and democracy and a government for the people? If there's a Privacy Council that is making the decisions. So when someone uses the term or the legal designation or the title and says Government of Canada, what they're actually saying in the definition is defined in the Constitution as the Queen acting on advice of her Privy Council. So when you say Government of Canada, you're saying it's the Queen acting on advice of her Privy Council. You're not saying it's a government for the people. You're not saying that it's a country that belongs to the people. You're not saying that it's even a democracy where the people have choice, where it's the decisions that are made have been made by the people. You're saying that it is the Queen acting on the advice of her Privy Council, privacy or Privy Council. Courts, Queen on the bench. The sovereign is responsible for rendering justice for all her subjects, and is thus traditionally deemed the fount of justice. Her position in the Canadian courts, formally dubbed the Queen of the Bench. Though the monarch does not personally rule in a judicial cases, this function of the royal prerogative instead performed in trust and in the Queen's name by officers of Her Majesty's Court. So everyone who is in the justice system is considered an officer of Her Majesty's Court and is operating in the Queen's name. An image of the Queen. I guess people do not read the Ten Commandments. Not that I'm saying there's an obligation, but they claim that Canada is based upon the Holy Bible, and the Holy Bible, one of the Ten Commandments, says, do not take any graven images unto yourself of anything, especially a person. So, an image of the Queen and or the arms of Her Majesty in right of Canada is always displayed in the Canadian federal courtrooms. The monarchy has thus been described as the underlying principle of Canada's institutional unity, and the monarch as the guardian of constitutional freedoms, whose job it is to ensure that the political process remains intact and is allowed to function. Some Governor-General, their staff, government publications, and constitutional scholars like Edward McWhinney and C.E.S. Franks have, however, referred to the position of the Governor-General as that of Canada's head of state, though sometimes qualifying the assertion with de facto or effective. So, de facto. Now, when you get into the Constitution documentation, you'll see clearly that indeed we are considered subjects or classes of different subjects that belong to Her Majesty, just like my dogs belong to me, just like my house belongs to me. Well, we are chattel property that belong to the Queen. Everything we own, our house, our cars, our properties, everything, first and foremost, belongs to the Queen. Now, if you doubt what I'm saying, let me give you a very good example. Whoever owns a home, if you fail to pay your house taxes for 3 years, you do not own a mortgage on that house, let's say, for example, yet you fail to pay your house taxes. Now, in 3 years, the city, on behalf of the Queen, will remove that home from you because you have not paid your house taxes bill, or will attempt to do it from your legal person. That shows you that you do not have full ownership rights to your house. If you could own a piece of property that's worth $250,000, for example, market value, and the Queen could ask to remove that property from you because you haven't paid a tax bill that's worth perhaps a 7% of that amount. Shows you who has ownership rights. I haven't shown this on video yet. I'm going to be getting into it shortly. But if you actually get into the laws, when you see everything that you own, no matter what it is, from the shoes on your back to the clothes on your, the shoes on your feet to the clothes on your back, everything belongs to the Queen. And if she would decide, for whatever reason, to call all this, she has legal right to whatever your legal person owns. She does not have right to what a human being owns, but she has right in the law to whatever your legal person owns. So, you like your PlayStations, you like your couch, you like your car, you like your computers. I know it sounds funny, and this, you say this will never happen, no one will ever come and take my stuff. If we go to war, and there is a need for finances, all things that can generate money earlier in the 1900s, they used gold and silver, but nowadays all things that can generate money, the Queen could call. Everything that you own, they could take you, physically remove you from your house, and place you on the street, and it would be considered lawful and legal. And if you doubt what I'm saying, give me a few weeks, and you will see in the videos to come just exactly how much power these people have over you. All hidden, but it is indeed there.